Yeah, man. Greetings, Rastafari, Haile, Emperor, the King Selassie, the first, the perfect balance, Empress Menin. This is first man for Rastafari Indigenous Village, recognizing, accepting, promoting Lion Voice. Yes, the voice of Rastafari, speaking about Rastafari, educating Rastafari, preserving, protecting Rastafari. Give thanks.
Aye, Rastafari, mighty.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lion's voice. Now put it, I Jollifer said that.
Because despite, as is written that Emperor Theodros views Menelik II as his son, Menelik still chooses to escape, take away himself. And that shows that sense of self. He was 11 when he was kidnapped. So he would have 11 years to still remember the glory of Showa and Haile Malakat. His elders are in captivity with him, so they would be telling about his father and pounding that into him. So even though he essentially has the keys to the kingdom, if he just stays with Emperor Theodros, Theodros marries him to his daughter, all of these things, just to show that he sees the intelligence and that spark, that charisma in a young Haile Mariam. But, Menelik has his own journey, and what we can learn from that, even as young Ras, is no matter how great someone might vision for the eye have to have your own sense of self, and be confident in that destiny. When you look at the story of Menelik again, he could have just rode that Tedros wave into the throne. But he doesn't know what would have happened. He didn't know at that time that Tedros would descend into madness, or that the Dejazmatch Tafari would become Emperor Johannes IV, and take control of the realm. He doesn't know any of that. But at the same time, he has his own vision to return to Showa, to rise up Showa again as an independent kingdom, and to stake his own place on the throne. And he does that. The Great Escape, I have a whole chapter just about the escape. But, as it says, Emperor Tedros, when he finds out his so enraged, whole heap of bloodshed, people get murdered, right? That's so beaten, all kind of something.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice. Well, for unto us a son was born and a child was given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Them call him Lidj Tafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Lidj Tafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Lidj Tafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Lidj Tafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England or Cote d'Ivoire, no matter if you're brown or black like Qatar. Haile Selassie say fi end all tribal war. A time fi gather Mount Zion, fi drive solar car from the car straight to Zanzibar. Who we are, the sons of Lidj Tafari. When he was born, rain poured.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Zero Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Dejazmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an artist, I'm an author, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of the Lion's Voice. Welcome to the Lion's Voice, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Big up all of the lion pride. Big up everyone who has been supporting the journey. If this is your first time on the platform, welcome. We are experiencing some tremendous growth, over 600 subscribers in the last 28 days. We have reached 800 pieces of content that have been uploaded on the platform, over 175,000 views over the lifetime of the channel. We couldn't do any of it without the item, so big up yourself before we go any further. Big up the item self. It's been a humbling journey. Today's topic, we continue. Last strong, we talked about Marcus Garvey. It was Marcus Garvey, Earthlight, Emperor Menelik, Earthlight, Empress Taitu, Earthlight, Emperor Zariakop. And I didn't mention Empress Taitu, Earthstrong. She shared the same Earthstrong. So we're going to have to do an episode about Empress Taitu. But this is not that episode. This episode, we're going to talk about Emperor Menelik, born Haile, married. And same that we did first strong, we're going to look at his relationship with His Majesty, because this shows, you know, a one character to eye in terms of how they related to the Most High physical when he was there, you know, different points. And the Majesty is meeting these ones at different points in the journey. So I think it's fascinating to examine these great men in the light of their interactions with His Majesty, and then also look at what are the lessons to be learned from these great iconic pan-africanists. Because Menelik, again, another great pan-africanist. You can't mention the African story and you don't talk about Menelik the second. His glory is up there. Controversial in the modern era with the rise of particularly the tribalism in Ethiopia, and then also, to be fair, overstanding of the story of the expansion of the Solomonic dynasty in Ethiopia, having sensitivity around the realities of war and conquest in that era. You know, you have to be circumspect when we look at all of these, but you know, on the big picture, I think it's impossible to take away the glory of Emperor Menelik and Haile Selassie. One of the symbolic measures that was taken at the coronation when he invited the world into Ethiopia, all of these, particularly European foreign nationals coming into Ethiopia, one of the things that His Majesty did was unveil a statue, a famous statue that still stands in Ethiopia to today, of Emperor Menelik atop a horse, commemorating Adwa, the victory over European imperialism. So Emperor Menelik, to I and I as Rastafari, you cannot take that place, because His Majesty himself, at the moment of his coronation, chooses to, you know, acknowledge the contribution of Menelik in such a magnificent fashion before the world. So this shows I and I that it's a lesson to be learned. And Menelik is also seminal character in the development of a young Lidj or a young Dejazmatch Tafari, because he had attained the title of Dejazmatch by the time he gets to spend any significant time with Menelik. And we're going to talk about that today on this episode. So get your ital snacks, put yourself together, let us reason about Emperor Menelik II. What a joy. We're going to read a passage also from Haile Selassie, Ethiopia. If you have not purchased the book, purchase the book. It is making waves. It's been released. We're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of the release of the book. Time is flying, but it's now, it seemed like to I, the book is just starting to soak in. And big up Dirty Bookman. We knew it was going to take time because people are not reading at the same rate, but as people read, they recommend. We're getting the comments, so please continue to send in the comments and pictures of yourself with the book as well, so that we can use it to spread the word. But we're going to read an excerpt because we give the history of Emperor Menelik II in the book. It's an epic story, and you cannot tell His Majesty's story without laying the groundwork with one of the priestly warrior kings that preceded him, which is Emperor Menelik II. So we definitely discuss that in the book. All right, so let us start off with a passage from the book, and then from there we can continue. So, Haile Selassie, Ethiopia, Volume 1, Rise of the Priestly Warrior Kings, and we are going to read from the chapter about Emperor Menelik and the birth and the rise. This is blockbuster film quality story and storytelling.
So Haile Mariam was born in the town of Ankaber, where he spent his early childhood, 8,500 feet above sea level, in the clean, crisp air. He was no stranger to war. Ankaber itself was originally inhabited by Ethiopia's Oromo people, who migrated to the region following the reign of Imam Amhadagran, until it was conquered by Haile Mariam's Shoan ancestor, the fearsome commander Amha Iyasus. Mary Dejazmatch Amha's wars with the Oromo population between Debre Berhan and Ankaber meant that Shoa developed as a relatively advanced military society by Ethiopian standards. Despite its tragic and bloody beginnings prior to the evil days, Ankaber, the Shoan capital, was a pleasant place by most accounts. At Haile Mariam's birth, his father was joyous at having a male heir, prospering that his son would replace him as king of Shoa, and enjoyed a glorious reign. He also married the child's mother so as to legitimize the birth. There is much disagreement about the origins of Haile Mariam's mother, but it is thought that she was of humble birth and worked in a nation where genealogies for nobility are kept with a biblical accuracy. It was difficult for scholars to find information about her background. Haile Mariam would indeed ascend to the throne with a name that would justify the faith of Haile Menelik. However, it would be some time before that name became synonymous with the glory of modern Ethiopia. The Captive Prince. In 1855 CE, robbed of the normal joys of childhood, 11-year-old Haile Mariam lost his father, and he was taken prisoner by the mighty Emperor Tewodros II. He would spend the next stage of his life captive in a mountain fortress of Magdala in Walla, 12,000 feet above sea level. It was at Magdala where he learned the art of governance. As he became a man, he was surrounded by all the intrigues of a royal court. Studying all he saw intently. Though captive along with the sons of other Ethiopian nobles, he was treated like a son by Emperor Tewodros II, once stating, "Although he killed my father and took me to his court, he always loved me as a son. He educated me with the greatest care and almost showed for me greater affection than for his own son." Haile Mariam more than once stated that I would rule after him. The emperor not only gave him the title of Dejazmatch, but he also gave him the hand of his daughter in marriage. Despite receiving such good treatment, and also sharing in the emperor's vision of fully united Ethiopia, Dejazmatch Tafari was a proud Shoan. He viewed himself first and foremost as the heir to the throne of Shoa. Thus, when the opportunity presented itself, with the help of a Muslim queen of Walla, he made his escape in 1865. The loss of Dejazmatch Tafari enraged Emperor Tedros II. In response to the assistance provided by the Walla Muslim queen, he had her son and his associates who were captive hacked to pieces in front of him. He also had some of the Amhara dignitaries beaten to death with bamboo rods. Despite the rage and the security breach, his deep affection for Haile Mariam and his uncle, who remained behind, prevented him from retaliating against them. The emperor's continued bloodlust caused many members of his powerful army to desert. Some of them joined Dejazmatch Tafari, helping to strengthen him as the newly established ruler of Shoa. Plus, having murdered the young Muslim prince from Walla, he further alienated a powerful enemy and gave his former captive a powerful ally. The word of his brutality as an emperor spread throughout the countryside, in the same manner as the legend of his good deeds towards the poor spread as an outlaw.
Mighty. What a joy. I am the Reading Ras, and I wrote a book. So give thanks for all those who support the works as I continue. So, as you can see from the reading, it's an epic story, epic journey. He grows up. If people like things like Harry Potter, where you have all these wizards going to the school, all of the top wizards in the land, and they go to a boarding school, that is a fiction. In Ethiopia, we had the palace at Magdala. Emperor Tedros kidnaps all of the sons of the top nobles of all of the kingdoms that he conquered and has them together, learning together, growing together, inculcating that identity into them. That to me is a series, whether it's an animated series or whether it's a live action series. Who but Rastafari is going to create that series? These are the things that we could do with the Lion Voice Network with audience support, but we have to get there. I'll get there in time and we'll talk about it. But I want to just stay on the story and the storytelling, because despite, as is written that Emperor Tedros views Menelik II as his son, Menelik still chooses to escape, take away himself, and that shows that sense of self. He was 11 when he was kidnapped, so he would have 11 years to still remember the glory of Showa and Haile Malakat. His elders are in captivity with him, so they would be telling about his father and pounding that into him. So even though he essentially has the keys to the kingdom, if he just stays with Emperor Tedros, Tedros marries him to his daughter, all of these things, just to show that he sees the intelligence and that spark, that charisma in a young Haile Mariam. But, Menelik has his own journey, and what we can learn from that, even as young Ras, is no matter how great someone might vision for the eye have to have your own sense of self, and be confident in that destiny. When you look at the story of Menelik again, he could have just rode that Tedros wave into the throne. But he doesn't know what would have happened. He didn't know at that time that Tedros would descend into madness, or that the Dejazmatch Casamercha would become Emperor Johannes IV. and take control of the realm. He doesn't know any of that. But at the same time, he has his own vision to return to Showa, to rise up Showa again as an independent kingdom and to stake his own place on the throne. And he does that. The Great Escape, I have a whole chapter just about the escape. But, as it says, Emperor Tedros, when he finds out it's so enraged, whole heap of bloodshed, people get murdered, right? So beaten, all kind of something. So this is one of the seminal moments, and if we have an animated series or we have live action series, and the reason the item here I go into animated is because a lot of time, especially with epic storytelling, the budget that you need to have the extras, the period piece, all of that. So it's easier if we go animated first, and I think that's how we should roll out our legacy, because it's for the youth them anyway. It's gonna attract the youth them, and from there we can work our way up to live action. But if we can create these animated stories, you know what I mean? Powerful. The story of Menelik II, powerful, of course. He marries Empress Taitu, and we have Adwa and all of those things that come later. But that's another thing. The other interesting part is that after he becomes emperor is his relationship with a young Dejazmatch Tafari. The age of 13 to 16 is when they really spent the majority of their time. And I want to just spend the second half of this program going into that part. So before we go into the autobiography, where His Majesty writes about his interaction with Emperor Menelik, let us take time to just big up the Lion Pride. We are now 3,300 plus strong and growing every day. I want to big up everyone who is part of the Lion Pride. If you're new to the platform, you're asking, what is the Lion Pride? And I will say, if you subscribe, then you are part of the Lion Pride. So all of the new subscribers, welcome to the Lion Pride. I'm checking the analytics. I'm seeing that Kenya is now the #1 demographic that is watching the platform in the last 28 days. Kenya has jumped to #1. So if you're from Kenya, put something in the comments, because I don't hear nothing from my Kenya family. I see that the IDM are watching and following, subscribing, but I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So if you're watching this and you're in Kenya, put a comment in the chat. Make we feel some of the energy coming out of Kenya. Big up Nairobi. I have an auntie from Kenya, Aunt Nakaringa, Kikuyu auntie, where I grow with. I grew up eating chapati and them something there. So Kenya, one of my place. Big up Ayati. We have brethren there, Kenya. So big up all of the Kenya massive. If you're watching from Kenya, put your sound down in the chat, please. Jamaica is #2. Jamaica was #1, holding it. Of course, we anticipate that is the land of our birth. And then Ghana. If you're watching from Ghana, put something in the chat. My African family, I need to feel some love, you know what I mean? And as we say about putting comments, let me just highlight the comment of the strong, big up, original follower from Humboldt County. Brethren say he's been watching for a time, and I really just give thanks to reveal the I self, so we know that the love is there. Because as a content creator, we're doing our best, but we work off of the feed forward from the audience. That's why I love doing Lion Talk live, because we get the comments going and we feel the energy live. And what I realized though is that we have a large audience, 3,000 plus subscribers, but we have a lot more that watch the content And I realize in terms of the Lion Pride, we have to break down our battalions into divisions. And I realize we have a division called the Watch and Peep division. And let me break it down. So the Watch and Peep, you have some people that watch, which you just come to the channel, you subscribe, you're watching to see what is this brethren really dealing with? Am I going to continue? Am I going to, and that watcher stage, because watcher is also another name for the angels. You have to watch and pray. Big up all of the watcher them, them a watch, just to see, is the brethren shaky? Is he going to introduce some loosey-goosey? We have over 800 pieces of content on the platform, so the item can check the work load and the work record in a 3-year span. 800 pieces of content is not, it shows that we're committed, we're serious about what we're doing, and we're consistent. So you have the watchers, and then you have the peepers. The peepers are the people who just a look to see when this thing I go pop down. Pop in every now and then. If there's a controversy or something, then you just a peep to see, because it's like when you're driving and there's a whole heap of traffic, and when you get to the space that's causing the traffic, it's just people that look over to see an accident or whatever. Those are the peepers. So the watch and peep section, both don't comment, on the platform. So I'm really asking or appealing to the watchers, if you've been watching for a time, join the active Lion Pride, because engagement is where this thing is right now in terms of content creation, and every business requires content creation. I'm working on my creative consultation toolkit. I want to help everyone. What the item are watching essentially is I'm on creative ecosystem. And I'm passionate that every creative have to have an ecosystem. I've been advising people, once bringing I on as creative consultation. We have been, pushing this, but I'm starting to formalize. You can book consultations on the website as well. Creative consultations, we do that, help you set up your creative ecosystem. But as I say, crowdfunding is the future. If you want to be sustainable as a creative, you have to go direct to consumer, and that is what the internet allows us to do. And having said that, let me big up the Lion Pride on Patreon. Lion Pride on Patreon are the ones who are funding everything that the items see. When you see we upgrade to paid version of StreamYard, we have our branding on the lives. That's Lion Pride on Patreon. That's a monthly subscriptions. We want to be able to upgrade everything. We need laptop, we need cameras. We are building this out into a full-time production studio for Rastafari related content, and I'm appealing to the family. I want to put out a challenge to the Lion Pride that know I personally, that are watching the content, that love it. And I know, because when I go out in public or I'm just interacting with ones show I that love, and I'm challenging them. I know the Armageddon is rough. I know that we're all living hand to mouth, but I'm challenging I family, $5 a month, join the Patreon at the $5 a month member level, and contribute so that we can get the media up and running. This is part of our uprising. No one is coming to save us. We have to do it ourselves. And part of that is preserving our story, reflecting the light to ourselves. And big up Sister Donisha. If you haven't seen the episode we did on tribute to Nana Rita, a lot of time we have these ones, and it's easy to point out that one flaws, but we don't really take time and look at the totality of that one and their work and celebrate. That is what Lion Voice is about. You're not really going to see no mix up on this channel. We know everyone that we interview, we could do an episode about what them do and this and that and somebody, but we don't go there, because we need a channel as Rastafari where we can see the glory of ourselves, where we can learn about the works, where ones can be inspired. That's why I only reason with workers on this platform, ones who have solid achievements, so that the youths coming after I and I have something that they can follow, that they can aspire to. So if that is something that the item deem worthy, then invest $5 a month to see it grow, so that we can rise this Rastafari independent non-aligned media together. And again, independence, the only way to maintain independence is through audience funding, because once you get sponsorships, yes, the channel is growing now, and we give thanks, and as it grows, then we'll be able to attract other sponsors, and we will do that. But we don't want to be dependent on these big checks coming in, major checks coming in of different brands that we may partner with, because if they don't like what we're doing and they remove that funding, then we're in trouble. But if the audience is the majority of the funding, then we maintain our independence, because we answer only to the audience. So this is why my family, I know we're not used to it, because I'm Rastafari, I watch whole heap of things I don't support, and I'm trying to get better myself. So, I and I reaching out to the family and appealing to the family as your brethren. You love to see the works, and trust we are fully loaded. We have interviews from Ethiopia. If I don't talk to anyone else for the rest of the year, I could release content up into the Babylonian New Year. I tell you them, the amount of interviews that we have already recorded is just to edit them and to put them out within the machinery. And we want to be able to hire editors, all of these things. Again, we're starting from our gates, but the vision is really a full production studio on the continent, somewhere in Ghana. So I see the vision, and I'm opening it to the family to share and to help I to fulfill it. The word, sound, and power. This is why I keep repeating it, and I give thanks, and I big up. We have about 13 active ones in the Patreon right now. Big them up. A lot of them, I don't know them. They don't even interact that much, but they are consistent month after month giving the contribution. So I just want to really big up ones like Marie Robbins. I mean, there's so many ones. I don't want to start calling names because then you forget, but the faithful ones that just dead with I, just know that the item are appreciative. We see the contribution, and it makes a difference. And we're asking the core, because it's about 100 out of the 3,000. I would say we have about 100 core Lion Pride that watch everything, and they're up to the minute. And those are the ones I appeal to first and foremost. Just $5, come on board. Let's build this thing, and I will not let the item down in terms of the content that we will produce and that what we will put out. I will, take that confidence, and together, we'll make Rastafari a force to be reckoned with. And we're going to be doing a series on second generation, and that's also part of what we want to do, is employ people. Second generation, we have to be able to employ them, media positions. We're getting ready to do an episode on It's Vegan Ital restaurant in Kingston, and one of the things that Bridget was saying, he wants to be able to employ people. All of our Rastafari small businesses, we have to now start to be able to scale them, and to do that we have to circulate the Rastafari dollar. So I just leave everyone with that. Big up the Ubuntu, Lion Pride, IRAS. We're going to be sponsoring a festival, a big show IRAS is doing. So stay tuned for our announcements. We'll have IRAS on here, one of our Ubuntu Lion Pride. Big up Ross Dexton Davis, Ubuntu Lion Pride, same way. These are brethren that just, Ross, we see the item work, bam, all that strength here. And if you give a contribution over $50 US, you will become part of the Ubuntu Lion Pride. We want to grow that as well. Again, all of these ways are the ways that we maintain our independence as an independent media platform. All right, so housekeeping out of the way, we have to go into that, family, because we have to fund this uprising. We have to invest in this uprising. Let's get forward to Menelik II. All right, so Menelik II, when we look at his interaction, he was like a father figure to a young Dejazmatch Tafari. In the autobiography, we learned that 8 months His Majesty, young Dejazmatch Tafari, seated up with Menelik, watching all of the affairs of the royal court, learning. Yes, His Majesty said he spent the whole day at the palace from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. For 8 months with Emperor Menelik, watching all of the intrigues in the court. And Emperor Menelik, coming from that tradition, with Emperor Tedros, growing up and seeing the value of having the young princes educated together, he starts a school for the young princes in the palace, and he doesn't invite the Dejazmatch Tafari. That show how he looking at the Dejazmatch Tafari, because the way how this young youth seat up with him, the maturity, and then the Dejazmatch Tafari asked him to be part of the school, which is why the period that they were together was only 8 months, because then he starts attending the school with the young princes. And His Majesty said, Menelik tells him, I thought because you're a governor of a province, Haile, that you wanted to live like the nobles and you wouldn't want, this basically saying, I thought the school was beneath you. And seeing, if you want to learn, then go and learn. And that shows us again the character of Emperor Menelik, how he respected young Dejazmatch Tafari based on his station, how he was carrying himself. And we know he was tremendously impressed that this youth, so young, still so diligent. And His Majesty said he couldn't learn some of the subjects with the other youths, particularly languages like French, because he was already advanced. So they had private, they arranged private lessons for him and some of the other youths, Ras Emeru, his cousin, for example, and a couple other youths. So, that 8 months has to be studied. And this is why I would love to be able to go to Ethiopia, to Addis Ababa, into the archives and learn Amharic properly, so that we can search in the original language and write, when I write the future volumes of Haile Selassie's Ethiopia, these are the things that we want to be able to do as Rastafari, is to tell this story from our own aspect. You can imagine young Lidj Tafari or young Dejazmatch Tafari seated up in the court just watching everything, because this was Ethiopia at its height to that period. Long after the Battle of Adwa, all of the foreign diplomats now coming in, you'd have the Chinese, the Russian, this, the that, all of these people in the court, European powers, whole heap of intrigue, Empress Taitu, her family, different nations, a lot of foreign technology starting to enter for the first time in the realm. This was an integral period, and His Majesty, as a young Dejazmatch, had a front row seat and was just soaking it up, but still knew that he had a lot more to learn, so that he wanted to go and study with the youth them, because the youth them were getting some of the top instructors in the land. So he wanted to learn and still be in that, because he knew there would, he's gonna have time for all of that, but that instruction, that passion for learning is so crucial. And then now His Majesty was appointed to the governorship of Sidamo. This is when he leaves at the age of 16 from being in the palace. And, from there, so it's really a 3-year period that Menelik interacts with Dejazmatch Tafari, and then after that, he gets ill and he's incapacitated while in Sidamo. And this is, His Majesty at about the age of 17 requests to come and see him and visits with him. He's ill. He lives, but he goes through different stages, paralysis at points. The ending of his days was not ileful. There were rumors that he was poisoned, all kind of things. Again, we have to do the research to find out what the conclusion is about these things. But at any event, there was a lot of intrigue at this time. Moves were being made, and people are trying to position themselves for power because he had no male heir. It was being whispered Ras McConnell could have been one of the people to take the throne, and Ras McConnell also dies of illness. So these things are mysterious when we look at how things unfolded. We don't know. Poison. I think they say Ras McConnell died of typhoid, though I don't know. But we don't know. Lot more information to be studied. I'm going to be doing some study as I do the second volume, because the second volume of Haile Selassie's Ethiopia takes us up to this period of the crowning of the Dejazmatch, where His Majesty enters into the world of intrigue in the capital city at the age of 13. That's where the book was sealed up. So I take that whole period, which is essentially the story of the pre and post Adwa. So that's the research that we're doing. So again, when you support the platform, you'll be helping to support this research and getting the volume 2 of Haile Selassie's Ethiopia out there. But this is, just some thoughts in terms of what Menelik can teach us. I think Menelik's life, without Menelik, I didn't touch on Adwa. That has to be a whole episode by itself. But, Menelik was very pragmatic. And I think, as I said earlier, what we can take away from Emperor Menelik is just that belief in yourself, you know what I mean? Regardless of what other people have for the eye. Kidnapped at 11, imprisoned, becomes child of favor, given a golden runway to the throne, but chooses to forge his own path, not to be anybody's hand-me-down. Rising, knowing when to humble yourself, because we didn't talk about when he submitted to Emperor Johannes. Emperor Johannes gets all of the weapons, the Dejazmatch Casa merch at the time from helping the British to defeat Tedros. And Menelik realizes, I can't win. This man have all of these cannon, machine guns and thing. So he goes and he takes a rock on his shoulder and bends the knee to Johannes. So just knowing that it wasn't my time, but he didn't give up on the throne. He just knew it wasn't the time. So having that humbleness, you know what I mean? One of the big critiques of Emperor Menelik is that he didn't go after Adwa all the way to Eritrea and run the Italians off into the ocean. But remembering that was right after the Kefuken, the evil days, and that Tigray, much less Eritrea, didn't have a lot of food to secure these massive armies, over 100,000 by some estimates that was there. And if they march, you're certainly going to lose a lot of Ethiopians without any surety. And then the unity is very tenuous, and you still aware that, yes, I'm the king of kings, but I'm going into Tigray, which Rasman Gasha, although he fought with I could get hostile, carry you deep into the deep water and drown you. So all of these considerations, Menelik chose to consolidate the center and to leave the coast, giving the Italians the ability to continue with the Eritrean colony, and to poison the relationship between our brothers on the coast, Eritrea and Ethiopia in the highlands. They are one family, but part of the poisoning, why they didn't get a chance to just integrate like Tigray, like all the other kingdoms, because remember, all of the kingdoms had separate identities. It wasn't just Eritrea or the Hashemite. It wasn't just Eritrea. So again, I think belief in yourself, knowing when to humble, you know, being pragmatic, knowing when to fight, because he also captured Wollo, you know what I mean, after Tigray against the wishes of Emperor Johannes. He was making independent moves, so he's not a yes man. He knew when to humble to Emperor Johannes, but he also entered into several battles against the wishes of Emperor Johannes to create facts on the ground for himself, to strengthen his eventual rise to the throne, so that when the time came, he was unchallenged, and because of the moves he had made prior. So he's a forward thinker. So much that we can sip up from Emperor Menelik. I don't want to take the episode too long. What did I miss? Drop it in the comments. Let I and I know what the item have learned from Emperor Menelik II, the greatness, as we celebrate this iconic priestly warrior king from Ethiopian history. So again, make sure you leave a comment. Lion Pride, we're trying to normalize leaving a comment in the comment section of where you're watching from. Big up the Watch and Peep section of the Lion Pride, the watchers, watch and pray, the peepers, go and peep, you know what I mean? We're still there. And all of the active Lion Pride, big up yourself, same way. We are here, we are growing. The item can see the work. The Ras Attitude episode is almost over 1,000 views. Let's push it out, share. Lion Pride, we just dropped the 5-star Celestial episode. Let's push 5-star Celestial, powerful youth, man. All of the content, go forward. 800 pieces of content. There's all kind of topics, all kind of interviews. The repository of knowledge is not normal. So big up and give thanks to everyone. Let us build this together. Let us rise together. Why? Because the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's Voice.
Well, for unto us a son was born and a child was given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Them call him Lidj Tafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Lidj Tafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Lidj Tafari. Lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Lidj Tafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England or Côte d'Ivoire, no matter if you're brown or black like Qatar. Haile Selassie say fi end all tribal war. Time fi gather Mount Zion, fi drive solar car from the car straight to Zanzibar. Who we are, the sons of Lidj Tafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Lidj Tafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. Then Lidj Tafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Then Lidj Tafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Royal governor from the age of 13 years. Leave the palace, fi go back in a school with him peers. He's the head without fear, he's one to be revered. When them call his name, then the heathen scare. Plus the priest concerned, and him teachers concerned. Cause all this little youth want fi do is just learn. But he wait his turn, till him turn the Dejazmatch. The people rejoice when him crown as the rasta call him Lidj Tafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Then Lidj Tafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. Then Lidj Tafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Then Lidj Tafari. Read your Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Well, Rasma Conan, call a meeting with all him general them. Say him funeral a come and him have something fi tell them. Him say, we fight together since the days of Adwa. Him say, protect my son and help him unite Africa. Well, him generals, them start cry when them hear this sound. Them say your wishes are command and bow down to the ground. When him funeral they come, it shock the whole town. If you see this little youth, him have armies around, they call him